A couple days ago, I got a phone call from Ganga, who's a girl a disciple of ours in Sri Lanka. And she called me, and I was so excited to hear from her. It had been a while since I'd talked to her. And she called me, and she said, "Lexia, I'm getting married." And as soon as she said that, my stomach just sunk, and I thought, oh no, here we go again. It's another one of our believers having to be forced to marry a Buddhist man. And I just thought, oh, we have been praying and praying that she'd married a Christian, and she's getting ready to tell me that she's going to, in fact, have to marry a Buddhist. However, she said, "Let me tell you the story." And she seemed excited, so I thought, well, maybe this is something different. And so she began to tell me the story, and there was a man that was coming to her house for a proposal. And a proposal was one in which the man would come to the house and may or may not know the girl, and would meet her, and upon meeting her, ask her to marry her or not marry her. And this man came to the door, and his family had set up a proposal, and the family left him and Ganga alone together in the room just to talk. And the man goes on to tell her, "I am so sorry, but my family is forcing me to get married." And they basically said, it is time for you to get married. And they set up a bunch of proposals for him to meet. And so he goes on to tell Ganga, "I am so sorry. I know that we are meeting each other, but I do not want to get to know you, and I cannot marry you." And Ganga was wondering where he was leading, and he said, "I cannot marry you." And he leans down and he whispers, "Because I am a Christian." And as he says this, Ganga just bursts into tears and gets so excited, and she says, "I am a Christian." And his family, and they talked, and his family had wanted to force him to marry a Buddhist girl. But here God had another plan. And so Ganga and him began to talk, and then he offered her a proposal right then. And they began to talk, and Ganga just began to share with him. And she, because we had walked with her for several years, she knew so many Bible stories and was able to just share so many stories about Jesus. And they're both growing in their faith. And so when she talked to me, she just said, "Lexia, we are so excited. And now I'm able to marry a believer." And she said, "We cannot wait until we can move into our own house." And she said, "My husband and I have just talked about hopping on a motorcycle and telling others about Jesus." And it was so encouraging to me to see God's sovereignty and his heart to bring this answer to prayer, that she is marrying a believer. And really, when you look at the story, I think it's just God being a Hollywood kind of story, romantic guy who also is about building the kingdom. And so I'm just so excited for what God has for Ganga, and I believe that her and her husband are going to be world changers.